Hello, hello. Welcome in episode 20, the Christopher Bell episode. It's a good week to, I guess, have a Christopher Bell episode after his impressive run at Road America. Episode 20 of Burnt Rubber Racing. Man, I get off on tangents all the time on this intro. What am I doing? Zach, save me. I'm butchering yet another intro. Zach McAdoo, my co-host. How are you doing this week? How are you doing on this Thursday as we sit down to talk some racing together once again?
I mean, it's not your fault. The opening was butchered. I didn't do the clap this week. That's my fault. I was looking at a rundown. Yeah, but we're doing fine. We're going to roll on here. And exciting week as both of us, it's one of our favorite tracks.
It is indeed. That's what it was. He forgot the clap. I was all screwed up. Don't blame me. Man, I'm always trying to put it on myself here, too. Episode 20 is kind of a milestone here, too, right? We've got through 2 decades. Look at us go. Burnt Rubber Racing rolls forward, and we want to remind you to follow, subscribe, like, listen, wherever you get your podcasts. We're available, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a couple other places too if you're not on those. So just search for us, and we will be there. We come to you each and every week here during the racing season and maybe even the off season. Who knows? We haven't gotten that far yet. But at any rate, loaded show once again this week. We got to recap NASCAR's successful. I guess I'll ask that question to you later. Return to Road America. It was a pretty entertaining 4th of July weekend, I'll say that. IndyCar was in action as well. We're going to talk about their run at Mid-Ohio. Dominant performance there. Zach's got a little SRX update for us after last week's racing action. We got a couple headlines to get to, including, we got to make our picks for who deserves to win the Best Driver ESPY Award. The nominees are officially in. And then it's off to Atlanta Motor Speedway to preview a race that has not been run at Atlanta Motor Speedway since 2010, but it is back. It is 100 miles shorter. We're excited to break it down and go all in on the handicap there for you guys as well. So be sure to stick around for that. I guess let's jump into Road America here, right? It was back in Wisconsin, NASCAR for the first time since, 1956, that they're running on the over 4 mile long road course. Your overall off the top reactions, thoughts on the weekend that was in the Badger State?
I thought it was par for the course for road courses. It wasn't a good race. It wasn't a bad race. It was one that you expected to be run, and in the end, it was a guy who I predicted to win. So I got another one there. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, good for you. I think a lot of people predicted him to win. He was only not even 3-1 on betting odds at most places. That man was Chase Elliott. His 7th Cup Series road course win. I mean, he is the road course ace in the NASCAR Cup Series at this point. 7 wins, only 2 behind the all-time record. Now, granted, NASCAR is running a lot more road courses. There's an emphasis on road course racing, so we're adding more to the schedule even this year, but he's only 2 behind the all-time record of 9. And what are you going to say? Because you're pointing at me.
Yeah, I was about to say 7 and 17 compared to 9 in 56? Okay, not 56 races. You only in the Cup Series for 20 years, so it's still 40. So that's still, yeah, they're running more, but look at the comparisons there where he's done this in 17 starts. So I mean, and another, we'll get to it later when we get more into Road America, but.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to take anything away from him and his road racing skills whatsoever, but there are more on the schedule. It's worth noting that now. But percentage-wise, Elliott is making it work. So, of course, that means another win for Hendrick Motorsports as well. But let's jump into it here. The Jockey Made in America 250. It was presented by Quick Trip, whatever that is worth. William Byron, interesting that he goes out and qualifies faster than anybody, takes the pole, not known for road racing. He's having a solid day, and then he wasn't having a solid day down the stretch of this race. Little incident. They tried to make it work going to pit road just in case there was a caution so they could get back up through the field. But hope you didn't have William Byron in your DFS lineup last week, Zach. Were you surprised, though, that he won the pole? Interesting starting front there, as Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch both were at the tail end of the field pretty much after qualifying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Kyle, since he knew he was going to the back anyways, he's like, yeah, we're not even going to run a lap, which I want to point out how dumb it is to qualify. Like, he knew he had his pit box selected. He had everything, so he didn't have to worry about it. Like, if you're going to qualify, I feel like there's enough time in there to put to have pit road selection. I mean, that's what I was like, okay, that's kind of dumb. But as far as Chase Elliott, he kind of got screwed out of the deal. There were 2 cautions in the first round of qualifying that, I see it like he should have ran a lap, but at the same time, it's not really when he was going to run out. He kind of got screwed by the whole deal. NASCAR forced their hand, and they didn't do anything. Unlike in practice, when they added more time, when there was that abundance of cautions in practice, it is what it is. But I'd like to see NASCAR do better.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at any rate, they made Chase Elliott earn his 7th road course win in the end of things, right? And it didn't take him even maybe half the race to work his way to the front. Same could be said for Kyle Busch. A great run for both those guys starting in the back. Let's see here. So not even 5 laps into this race. I don't even know if were we on lap 3 at this point? Daniel Suarez, another transmission issue on a road course. They're talking about this on the broadcast. Tyler Reddick was worried about it kind of over the radio, and the Richard Childress guys are saying, no, Trackhouse kind of been doing something different. We saw Suarez have this same problem at Circuit of the Americas. What is this all about? And I mean, if we're going to have an emphasis on road racing and you're adding a second team next year, they just bought Chip Ganassi Racing last week, you had better figure out what you're doing here with your road transmissions. This is not a good look.
Yeah, and they kind of screwed my DFS team. I had Daniel Suarez. I thought that he was going to do better than what he did, and I don't know what happened. It just he was looking good for the first 2 laps, and then on the 3rd lap, he just went into turn 5, came out of turn 5, and
wasn't moving.
No,
yeah, Suarez, to your point, he has the road racing skills, right? We've seen that out of him in the past, so not a bad DFS play. But this is all something mechanical, clearly, that Trackhouse Racing is going to have to work out here going forward. He wasn't the only one who had mechanical issues. Ryan Preece, I liked how you worded it in your recap over on Flurry Sports this week. Just Ryan Preece broke something in his car. We don't know what exactly, but something broke, and he took it right into the garage. So much for building off of that fuel mileage strategy top 10 in the second race at Pocono. Now, this is your JTG Doherty driver. Meanwhile, my JTG driver threw down a career best finish on a road course, finishing in the top 12 this week, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. But would you like to say anything to or about Ryan Preece after this unfortunate incident?
Driver number 2 of my DFS team that screwed me completely.
There it is. Great week for you.
Yeah, it was just awful, and I'll pull it up how bad I did. Just keep on going.
Did you score more points than Cody Ware did at Kona? Okay, I couldn't resist. That was mean. I'm sorry. Let's keep going. Kyle Tilley, we mentioned his name because we didn't really know who he was or where he came from on the show last week. He missed the carousel turn badly. He would bring out the yellow flag as a result, and stage 1 would end under caution because of this. William Byron getting a stage win at Road America, so turning that pole starting position into some playoff points there. On to stage 2, I guess we should roll here. Martin Truex Jr., because of the pit strategies that played out, he led the field back to green. Then we got an interesting battle up front. Austin Cindric, who we were both high on, knowing his road racing skills, what he does at the Xfinity Series. Of course, he's moving to Cup full-time next year. Matt Benedetto. Talk to me about Matty D. This was great to see him running up front, leading laps. He led multiple laps, even beat out the 33 car for the lead here. Good showing. Finally, this Wood Brothers team needed something.
Yeah, I thought it was funny how these two are the ones battling it out when they're both the ones who could get the 2 car. One's going to get the 2 car, one's going to get the 21. Allegedly, don't put that on me. It's speculation. But yeah, Matty D had a great short run car. He could stay it out there for a couple laps to lead, but Cindric ultimately got the better of him, and Matty D started to fade.
Yeah, he did. He did hang on to a top 10 finish. So, I mean, with the way the 21 teams have been running lately, I'm sure they'll take it. Now, Cindric in that number 33, the fourth team Penske car that pops up every now and then, they had some issues mechanically themselves, and they would wind up with a DNF. So from battling for the lead, leading some laps there, to not finishing the race at all, Cindric was definitely disappointed. Kind of after falling short in the Xfinity Series race too, put the cap on a disappointing weekend for him, known for his road racing skills. Was there anything else in stage 2 that jumped out to you? Obviously, Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch were making moves through the field. Kyle Busch, I think, got to the lead in this stage. He definitely got it off pit road and led the field out for the last stage. Was there anything else from that middle portion, though?
Yeah, there's two things. First thing I would point out is Austin Cindric. He even said, "Yeah, I love this track, but it does not love me back." And you feel that as when you see stuff like this over the past 2 days of stuff that happened to him. But Tyler Reddick gets his first stage win of the year, baby, on a road course. On a road course, nonetheless. I mean, I love it, man. It's starting. He's building something.
Yeah, you think so? I mean, we only hype him up on this show every week. I mean, mostly it's you, but you got me on the train here too.
We've got to get him on the show. He's got to come on now.
That'd be so great. He qualified well too, right? I think he started third row?
I think he started fourth, and while he was qualifying, he clocked in and then proceeded to spin in the final turn. Kept it going on the pit road, but that tire was that left rear. I think they said it was toast.
Yeah, he had another nice save later in the race too, like the actual race itself. So, but good stuff out of Tyler Reddick. Like you said, he gets the stage win. Going to the final stage here now, Matt Benedetto gets the lead again, but he just did not have I don't know if it's power under the hood. We've been having this Ford Chevy debate, whether Ford's down this year or what. Power under the hood or just skills, but he couldn't hold off Chase Elliott for long. And once Elliott took the lead, I mean, that was pretty much all she wrote here, is he would dominate the last stage, really the second half of this race. I mean, what else happened in this final stage? Anthony Alfredo has loses a tire, loses some parts. Yep, there it is.
Just wait. This is how bad. So this is what we need to start doing. Is there's NBC Sports Predictor. There's the NASCAR Finish Line. We need to start doing that on the show because I feel like that'd be a fun thing for us to do. But on the NBC Sports Predictor app, I had both first stages correct. I had Chase Elliott predicted out of the final four that would finish highest. I had him winning the race. I had Kyle Busch second and Denny Hamlin third. They were running 1, 2, 3. I would have won $557 if that would have just stayed the way it was. Anthony Alfredo, I don't like you. You suck. That caution cost me a lot. Frustration.
It wasn't his fault. It was equipment.
Yeah, he's trash. He's forky. He's forky.
Wow. Anthony Alfredo, on behalf of Burner Racing, I'm sorry.
I'm not. He's there
because I don't think he's very sorry. At any rate, the caution benefited Ryan Blaney, who had significant hood damage. I mean, his hood was duct taped down on the car by the end of this race. Disappointing, though, day, I think, compared to what a couple of us on this show thought for the number 12. And then Eric Almirola was also on pit road. They got to restart at the front of the field as everyone else had to come in at that point and take tires and such. Didn't last long. Almirola looked like he might be able to make it stick there in the top three for a while, but he would fade too. And then, of course, you had the William Byron issue. The other thing, I guess, that we need to mention here in this last stage was Alex Bowman spinning out his teammate Kyle Larson. No, Kyle Larson did not win this race. No, he lost his top 10 finish streak. It wasn't a top 2 because he had like 8 in the last 9 or something ridiculous like that. But it also wasn't his fault because that car was fast. He was on his way to a top 3 finish.
The third driver that had a problem. I had Kyle Larson too. It was just a bit, yeah. When you have AJ Allmendinger, who absolutely just fell, like we hyped him up so much last week, he finished 29th. Kyle Larson started second, ran so well until the Bowman incident. He fell to 16th. We need to stop hyping guys up.
Yeah, we did it to Corey LaJoie too, man. I'm starting to wonder if it's our fault. Maybe we should hype up the opposite guys we think are going to actually do bad, and then go in with our real picks, and maybe we'll do better. I don't know. We're struggling here.
I thought about doing that for the DFS article, honestly, because it's been bad.
Maybe this week at Atlanta. I don't know. At any rate, everything's fine between Larson and Bowman. We can get that off the table now. Larson even said there didn't even need to be a meeting about the incident this week. I mean, he's a pretty chill guy, and I think they understand. I mean, when you're having the season that Hendrick's having too, 7 wins between them, teammate wins the race. Alex Bowman, though, that the incident caused that tire rub. I don't know. Did you think he should have pitted, or should he have stayed out and tried to keep going? Because it seemed like it was sort of correcting itself there. I was of the opinion Bowman should have stayed out, personally. That's why I asked.
I mean, at that point, I would have stayed out as a driver, because, like, if it blows, who cares? You have nothing to lose. Like, you got your wins. You don't need the points. So, like, what does it matter if it blows up? If all hell breaks loose and somehow you're in first, that's your win there. So, I mean, I would have stayed out if I was Bowman, and I know you saw a lot of teams pit at the end of the race there because they're like, hey, if it blows, we have a chance here. So, I would have stayed out if I was the 48 team.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the only potential negative is you already spun out a teammate to get that tire rub, and then a caution could impact another teammate who is leading the race at that point. But, you know, teams are like secondary in NASCAR, so I'm not sure about that call myself, much like you. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Chase Elliott drives to the win here easily. Christopher Bell, though, he gets by Kyle Busch late in this race. We're on the Christopher Bell episode 20, and the 20-car runner-up finish. Maybe there's something to Bell on road courses. Won the Daytona road course earlier this year. He's got a win at Road America in the past as well. A much-needed second-place run there for that team. Joe Gibbs racing 3 cars in the top 5. Kyle Busch does take third. Kurt Busch, there he is. One of the hottest guys in NASCAR right now. Probably not named Kyle Larson, although maybe that's starting to switch a little bit here. I don't know. He's in 4th. Denny Hamlin rounding out the top 5. You can talk about 1 or 2 of those guys. Then we're going to look at some other finishes here that stood out. And unfortunately, this week, a lot of them are kind of negative.
Yeah, I faded Christopher Bell. That was not the right decision, as he would go on to finish 2nd. Yeah, if you look back at Coda and Sonoma, he did not look well at all. Granted, Coda was because of the rain. It's not really – I probably should have put more into the rain than it was him. But I faded Bell, and then Kurt Busch. I went from being very high on Kurt Busch to don't even take him. Just leave him there. Don't – and now he's starting to be one of the guys who you can trust now, and he's actually in the playoffs now. So, dude, is this
Atlanta's coming up, Zach. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is that supposed to be?
Kurt Busch's stats at Atlanta. Apparently, you have not checked out the data fully. This is a guy I want my DFS lineup this week. I'll tell you that much. Rounding out the top 10 here, you know, I said a lot of negative finishes. There were a lot of positive finishes down to, I don't know, the top 12 drivers here. Chase Briscoe takes 6th. Ross Chastain, 7th. Both Chip Ganassi cars fast once again. Chastain on the road courses. You know, we can debate Bell if you want, but that's a real thing based on what he's doing this year, the 42 car on the roads. Tyler Reddick, there he is, 8th place. Martin Truex Jr. overcomes a pit road speeding penalty to finish 9th. Not the finish they were probably looking for, but, you know, salvaging a top 10 day there could have been worse. And like we said, Matty D holds on for the top 10. And then how about this? I already said Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got that career best 12th on a road course. Austin Dillon takes 11th, and he started near the back, right along with Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. Austin Dillon should have been in NASCAR DFS lineups this past weekend on a road course. I'm pretty sure he won Group F with that finish easily, right? I can't even remember who else was in Group F when we were saying that is a disgusting group. Definitely beat Bubba Wallace because I remember he was in there, but any of those names stand out to you? Do you want to talk about a couple of the surprises there, or someone in the top 10? Chase Briscoe, good to see him up there. I think he will be another young driver who has solid road course potential going forward.
No, I'm all set to put this week behind me.
All right, and then a few names. You know, we talked about AJ Allmendinger falling down. Disappointing for him. Ryan Blaney wound up only 20th. Kyle Larson 16th after that incident. Alex Bowman, the decision to pit leaves him finishing 22nd. I'm going to ask you about that name in a second because you're not putting this week behind you just yet. Michael McDowell had some damage. He only finished his 30th. Very disappointing for him on the road course. William Byron, of course, finished his 33rd. And I think that was it in terms of other guys we already talked about who didn't finish or were screwed from the start. Corey LaJoie just misses out on restarting that top 20 streak in 21st. But, Zach, what happened to Kevin Harvick, 27th? What's up with that?
He pitted late. That's what it was. So he was one of the guys that pitted late when.
I didn't see him really in the top 15 a lot though either. So
we know he's not. Well, he's not really a road course guy. Yeah, look at his stats. It's not there.
That's fair. You already went with Reddick over Harvick to win a race this year last week, so
well,
I think this week only
about that. There's this week, and then there's New Hampshire. I forgot about New Hampshire because I believe Harvick has won the last 2 races at New Hampshire. Because I don't think did they race there last year?
I don't know that they did. I don't think so.
I think New Hampshire was one of the races they cut.
Find out here. Go ahead.
And so, if that's the case, Harvick has won the last 2 races at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
So you're saying there's a chance beyond Atlanta, even.
Yes.
Where are we at here? All right. Yes, he has. He's won 3 of the last 5 races at New Hampshire, actually. So, hey, you never know. Maybe it's not over yet for that number 14, but they would like to forget about Road America. Apparently, Zach would too. So let's talk about the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Road America. A quick recap here. Kyle Busch, yet another Xfinity Series win. Number 101 is what I am seeing here in the show notes. Daniel Hemrick and Michael Annett finishing 2nd and 3rd. AJ Allmendinger, we talked about Austin Cindric having a disappointing weekend, and I'll let you discuss him more in a second. But 4th place, I mean, solid run. But this is a road course. This is a race Dinger expects to win. So combine that with that rough Cup Series run. I would say Colleague Racing comes away from this weekend a bit disappointed. And then we had Harrison Burton rounding out the top 5. But, Zach, what happened to Austin Cindric on Saturday? Because if anyone was live betting this Xfinity Series race, Austin Cindric was an odds-on favorite with not many laps to go.
Yeah, so Cindric was caught up in a wreck late. I remember, I think it was him and Justin Allgaier. They made contact, and there was significant damage to Austin Cindric's car, so much so that his team had Kyle Busch pull up next to Cindric and try to see all the damage. And that's what kind of screwed him out of it a little bit. That's all I can remember. I don't remember how it happened or whatnot, but.
Well, that's fine. But yeah, getting into that incident there cost him a race that he really should have won. Aside from Kyle Busch, I don't know who was fast enough to even catch him or give him a run here on this day. We had Kevin Harvick, Riley Herbst. Cindric finished 8th. Noah Gragson, 9th. And Justin Haley in 10th, rounding out the top 10. Did you have anyone else you wanted to shout out? Obviously, another big top 10 there for Gragson in terms of that playoff hunt. Ty Gibbs was a DNF, though. I will say that. I'll throw him out there.
No, let's move away from Road America.
Are you excited we're going back to Road America for the next 2 years at least? Is it?
Yeah.
Take it or leave it at this point.
So there was a lot of discussion that what I've seen is that fans aren't happy that Daytona was moved away from this weekend. I could see it. So. I could see it, but I'm a fan of Daytona being the last race before the playoffs. I like that that unpredictability of getting a new winner right before the playoffs, and who knows? And if you go back, 2015, I want to say Talladega, when Talladega was the cutoff race before the next round in the playoffs, you had a lot of JGR drivers riding the back because they knew they were in. What's the point in racing and getting caught up in wreck? Because if you're just riding around the back, you're safe. And I remember people didn't like that. So if you move it to this, you're going to have people going to the front trying to get points and whatnot. And so, I mean, you're not going to have people right in the back like it was then. So just make up your minds, people. I don't. Here's
one for you. How about we make, Daytona is Daytona, right? It is the mecca of NASCAR. How about we have 3 Daytona races? Is that too much Daytona for you? I can't get enough of the super speedway. I really can't.
Yes.
So I would be plenty happy to have Daytona on Independence Day weekend to start the season and then to end the regular season. Or we could flip-flop Talladega to one of the regular season races and put a 3rd Daytona race in the playoffs. Why not?
I was actually a big fan of the Indy Oval being on July 4th. Have the two most patriotic races being the Indy 500 and the Independence 400, whatever you want to call it. I forget what it was last year when it was on July 4th. But Road America is not a bad one. I mean, Road America's in the name, so it would make a lot of sense. But as for Road America, I felt like I could take it or leave it. It was just there. It wasn't a bad race, but at the same time, it wasn't a good race either, like I said earlier.
It's kind of how I feel about all road courses. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a huge fan overall. I enjoyed this one more than Circuit of the Americas, though. I will say that. There was no turn where you were crawling through it at 5 miles an hour. So
you could actually see.
Yeah, that too. I still don't think it was as much of the rain being a problem as you and Marty were trying to say on that recap episode, but we'll see next year, I guess, because the roads aren't going anywhere. That's clear enough. IndyCar was at Mid-Ohio this past weekend, and it was a domination by one Joseph Newgarden. He was the betting favorite going into the race. We weren't sure about it. Scott Dixon and his history at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. No, Joseph Newgarden said, you know what, I'll prove you guys wrong. Starts on the pole, leads 73 of 80 laps to get the win. Banner win here for Team Penske, and it was actually Team Penske's, if you can believe this, their first IndyCar win of the season, which is surprising, given the names and the equipment they have there. A lot of action early on in this race. Were you able to see this? Were you able to talk about these wrecks, or is this like on my shoulders here?
I missed the first wreck. Because I had family over. I was supposed to visit with them, and I had to kind of like.
Don't you love visiting with family? It's like such a therapeutic exercise sometimes.
Yeah. Come outside and visit with us instead of watching the races inside. That sounds like a great idea. But I was able to somehow sneak my way back inside and watch the lap 5 wreck, and I had to watch the last 10 laps on my phone. So
All right, so I can ask you about this lap 5 wreck then, because that's kind of the one I wanted to ask you about anyway. Lap 1, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Felix Rosenqvist, they are the big guys who get banged around in that one, shall we say. They both do get back out there. They both finish the race 2 laps down. So, yes, Jimmy Johnson, I think he finished 22nd this week, only 1 lap down. So, not improvements for the number 48. What can I say? But then on lap 5, Scott Dixon, he squeezed Will Power right down there. The two are fighting for position in the top 5. Will Power goes around, and there's just a cloud of smoke coming over the hill. It's a blind hill anyway going down there on the decline. Ed Jones, a lot of guys are able to avoid Power, but Ed Jones could not. That ended his day. Did Power get back in this race? Let me check quick. No, he never got back out there either. He actually had an injury on his hand. He left his hands on the steering wheel, so he was regretting that decision. What do you think, though, about, you're a Kiwi guy over here. You had him to win the race. It was a solid run for him, but at fault there, perhaps, on this lap 5 wreck?
I think it was just a racing incident. I mean, you go back, they're racing for position. They're both trying to get into the corner. It looked like Power hit the curbs and went up a little bit, and the Kiwi maybe went down a little bit. I know you love when I say Kiwi, so I'm just going to keep saying it instead of Dixon. But, I think it was just no harm. Well, obviously there's harm and foul, but I don't think there's any foul play in it for either one of them. I think it's just one came up, one came down.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, it was, yes, he squeezed him, but it was a racing move to pull off that squeeze, and IndyCar felt the same way. As there were no penalties handed out here, obviously. Looking at the finishing order a little more from the Honda Indy 200, Marcus Ericsson, he was 30-1 to win this thing when we talked about it on the show. I threw him out there as a long shot. And he comes in second, so I'll give myself a half pat on the back there because he didn't quite get the job
He
done.
absolutely had the drive of his life in the last 10 laps there. He came from 8 seconds back with probably, 5 to go to he was there fighting for the win on the final lap. So big credit to Marcus Ericsson trying to get his, second win in a row?
It would have been second in the last 3, I believe, because he won at Detroit, and then we had Road America in between. But yeah, that was quite the close to that race as he tried to cut that lead down. And Joseph Newgarden had more push to pass down the stretch of this race too, and he was using it, and Ericsson was still closing the gap. I don't know how that works, but apparently it does. Newgarden missed a couple turns, so that helped Ericsson out, but just came up short in the end. Still a solid run, though, after starting third. And then we've got our championship points leader as it stands now, Alex Palou, taking third. Another solid run for him as he hangs on to that points lead. Scott Dixon, there he is, in fourth. And then Alexander Rossi rounds out the top 5, so a much-needed run and solid finish for him. Any of those that you wanted to throw out there? Anyone else further down the line? Colton Herta was one that stood out to me. He was right up at the front running with Newgarden. They were kind of the two to beat here early in this race, and he started second on the front row with him. And then they had fuel issues on pit road. So a couple of lengthy pit stops because they didn't have fuel pressure or something was wrong. And it took him forever to gas up the car. So that ruined his day, and he wound up 13th. But was there anyone else that you wanted to mention?
No, I was happy. Dixon was ahead of Palou. I thought he was gonna gain some points, and then Palou just happened to beat him out pit road and got one position better, which he widened his gap with 6 races ago.
That he did. And Pato O'Ward, who was second in points coming into the week, of course, those are the two guys with 2 wins on the season. He winds up 8th. So both Palou and Dixon, they're able to gain on him in the championship points standings race. I guess that means we're ready to take a look at what happened in SRX.
Well, first you have to say that we are 31 days away from the next IndyCar race in Nashville. Yeah,
yes.
A month.
The highly anticipated Music City Grand Prix.
That is what
they're literally driving over the bridge. That is going to be sick.
Yeah, if you remember, this is one of the tracks that the crazy Nashville lady said this is an F1 track. So remember that if the Nashville Fairgrounds does not come back. I watched the video today. I just to get a laugh in, but
crazy Nashville lady needs to go piss off. But what happened last week in the Superstar Racing Experience, and what is on tap for this coming weekend, Mr. McAdoo?
So outside of Indianapolis, whoa, my camera just really shook. So outside of Indianapolis, I missed. Shut up. At Lucas Oil Raceway, the short track outside of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Ernie Francis Jr., the 23-year-old, gets his first win in the Superstar Racing Experience. He beat out Scott Speed and Helio Castroneves. I think it was Helio, and I forget who the other one was off the top of my head. They got into it a little bit. Yeah, it was a very exciting race. Paul Tracy came into the track in handcuffs with a police escort. They're bringing out all the stops to make this an amazing series. You guys need to start watching it. And this week we have Haley Deegan returning. We have Greg Biffle returning in the 69 car. Nice. And then we have a 17-year-old Luke, I think his name is Fenhaas. I may have gotten that wrong. May have gotten that wrong. He won the Slinger Nationals, the youngest person to ever do that, earning his way into the Slinger race here for the SRX this weekend, this Saturday, 8 o'clock on CBS.
Boom, there you go. Tune in. I'm going to admit that I have not seen the Indy race from this past weekend yet. I did, however, get to check out the Eldora race on delay by a few days, perhaps 4 or 5 days, but I did watch it. And after what Paul Tracy, some of the things that happened in that race, I think the handcuffs is absolutely hilarious. So I'm looking forward to going back and watching either the highlights or the full race from this past weekend. Was Bobby Labonte still pissed? Because he was pissed.
I don't think he was. I think he was up there. I think he was racing for the win, if I remember correctly, or he was either the ones that came forward or went backwards. But
I was impressed with him on the dirt. I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah, Willie T. Ribs also is not doing that well. I will say it again. I think he was like 12th in all the heats. Maybe he got 11th in the second heat if to prove me wrong. But yeah, Willie, step it up, my guy.
He is, I think, eligible to be a senior citizen at this point, so cut him some slack.
Yeah. So is Bill Elliott, but Bill Elliott's not doing too much better. They're like they're ninth.
Has he finished a race yet? I don't think he has.
I don't know. They're 9th and 10th in points.
It's good to see them out there, though. That's SRX is like this series has been wild, like Zach said. Definitely make sure you check it out because there are only 2 weeks left, I think, right? So
this week it's Slinger, next week it's Nashville Fairgrounds with the crazy Nashville Fairgrounds lady.
I'm sure she will have front row seats for that.
she'll probably be picketing.
Yeah. So there you go. SRX. I think we hit all the action from Independence Day weekend. We just have a couple headlines we wanted to get to. One of them is the title of this week's show, at least for those watching the live stream, Zach. The ESPYs are this weekend. The big sports award show that ESPN puts on Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And I actually don't know if I'm going to watch this year because it might be more triggering than enjoyable, given some of the things that have happened around.
You actually watch the ESPYs?
In the last year? Usually I do, and I find it very inspiring. But I don't know about this year. We'll see. But I am going to vote on all the awards because that's always fun. The Best Driver Award nominees have been officially announced. We got to make picks because, that's what we cover on this show, right? Is motorsports. So we've got Chase Elliott, the reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion. I think he's, a deserving choice out of NASCAR. I could see maybe Kyle Larson if he was able to run last year, but he wasn't. So anyway, Chase Elliott also won the All-Star race last year to throw into his bag of accomplishments there. From IndyCar, we have the Kiwi, Scott Dixon. And then we have from NHRA, Erica Enders, and from Formula One, none other than Lewis Hamilton. Big shocker there. That is a pretty star-studded list. If you, which I mean fans, anyone can vote on the ESPY Awards. If you were going to vote, which driver gets your vote?
I think we know who's getting my vote. I do like Lewis Hamilton. He's probably my favorite F1 driver because he's British. But it's got to be the Kiwi. He's Scott Dixon, man. That's my driver. He should have. He won the first 3 races of their season last year. Came close.
Won the championship. I should have said that. Chase Elliott won the NASCAR championship. Scott Dixon won the IndyCar championship. But
I think one was more deserving than the other. And I'll say that to the day I die. NASCAR doesn't need playoffs. But it's probably not far off with the way I eat. So, or the way I watch sports because I get nervous as hell. But yeah, yesterday England put me off a lot. I'll just say that. But back to the main point here. Scott Dixon he won the first 3 races. Probably should have better than the Indy 500. Should have won, in my opinion. Late caution really messed him out of it. And we're never going to forget that one. But as far as the drivers out of there, I had to just Google who Erica Enders was because I'm not an NHRA fan, I'm sure. But the name recognition is probably going to go to Chase Elliott or Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, Elliott and Hamilton are, they're big fan favorites. So it'd be one thing if you had, a NASCAR champ who might, Joey Logano seems to be public enemy number 1 for a lot of people. So if he's our reigning NASCAR champion, I would say I'd be looking elsewhere. But Elliott's going to have a real run there. I agree with you on Hamilton. I mean, you can make a case for all of them, right? If I had to pick which driver I think is going to win the award, I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton. There's 2 reasons for that. 1, because he is a fan favorite. There's 3 reasons for that. 2, because he's so he wins every other week, it seems like. 3, ESPN televises Formula One. I don't know if that might play in a little bit. It could. I could see something like that happening. If I had to pick one, it would be either Scott Dixon or Chase Elliott, and I really could go either way just because, I mean, I'm probably biased there because it's NASCAR, IndyCar, but I think you make a lot of great points.
One more point.
Was the more deserving champion last year. Chase Elliott barely qualified for the championship 4. He did it on the last race, winning at Martinsville there in that 3rd round, and then, drives to the win at Phoenix, which give him his credit, absolutely. But,
yeah, to his point, you can't fault Chase Elliott for the way he won his championship.
No,
he did it right. It's not but for my state, they changed it to the playoffs. NASCAR does not need playoffs. We'll say that.
I disagree with that because it makes it exciting. But say your piece. Okay,
well, for one of the 2 weeks that NASCAR has off, you and I will debate this because they don't need it.
There we go.
We have one of our show ideas coming.
Perfect.
But I'm looking back here for at the best driver ESPYs. NASCAR has won 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 5 times it's been given out, with the only one breaking that up was Lewis Hamilton in 2017, and the last IndyCar driver to win it was 2014. I'm seeing no NHRA drivers winning this.
Yeah, I don't know about Erica Enders winning that. Just like you, I don't watch NHRA regularly enough to know what all of her accomplishments, and I wouldn't even know why she is nominated over another NHRA driver. I guess.
Yeah, that's no respect to
America, her. Sorry,
I was about to say it's no disrespect to her. We just don't. No. We don't know anything about her. It's not our NHRA is not our forte. Just like F1 is kind of. I kind of know a little bit about it. It's not like I don't watch it really.
It's not my forte at all. So yeah,
I'm not as religious to that as I am NASCAR and IndyCar, but it's more our speed than NHRA.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in America too. The other point there, most people are NASCAR in America, right? I mean, there are the open wheel fans, but Formula One's huge overseas. IndyCar, it's overshadowed by stock car racing in the States. So most of your voting base is going to be obviously in the States. So that's going to give NASCAR the edge. Who was the last IndyCar driver? Read those names back to 2014. Who has won the years? I want to know.
All right, 2014 it was Ryan Hunter-Reay. 2015 was Kevin Harvick. Give me a second because I got to reopen it.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, IndyCar, but he's an American driver, and he won the 500 that year.
Yeah. At that point he did.
There you go.
Harvick would have been the reigning NASCAR champion. Kyle Busch in 2016 would have been the reigning NASCAR champion. 2017, Lewis Hamilton of Formula One. Probably, I think that would have been one of his years. Martin Truex Jr., the reigning NASCAR champion. 2019, Kyle Busch. That wouldn't be the reigning NASCAR champion at that point.
Kyle Busch.
That's puzzling to me why he would have won it before. Yeah, because July 10th would have been before. I don't understand that one.
Unless look up and see what he did here quick, but keep going.
He would have had like 8 or 9 wins that year, along with Harvick. He was one of the big 3 with Harvick and Truex in 2018.
No, he was the champ.
But the ESPYs came before he won the championship.
Oh, this is the 2019 ESPYs.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to look up 2018. Who won in 2020?
It was not given out because of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, they didn't have a show.
We were spending a lot of time on this. For something I thought this would be like...
So 2018 was... Okay, 2018 was a big year, looks like. Let's see here. Kevin Harvick. I'm sure you remember that. And I've got Kyle Busch winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races. Harvick and Busch won the third and second to last races in the playoffs, and then Logano won the championship race. So Logano, kind of stole that championship. I guess I can sort of see why.
Just like
I don't want to say he stole it.
Series. Reddick did the same thing in the same year, the day before Logano did. So I can be, but I can't be mad at the same time.
Yeah, if you had to pick a season-long champion, I can see where people were like, yeah, Kyle Busch. And like I said, Joey Logano, people don't really like him. So there you All right. What else do we got here? News and notes. Atlanta Motor Speedway. What are they in the headlines for this week besides hosting a race?
Yeah, it was announced on Tuesday they will be repaving and reprofiling this. I think that's how they worded it. Yeah, a long repave. It was coming. Listen, as much as I love the surface, I would rather them repave it and make sure that the track's going to be there for years to come than to see it just come crumbling down and see it go the way of North Wilkesboro. It's been, like I said, it's been a long time coming. They're making the track more narrow, and they're raising the banks in the corners. So I'm excited to see what comes of it. I know it's not going to be a fan favorite, and Denny Hamlin sounded off saying there was no driver input on this. And the track's staying there like, yeah, we have driver input on this, and who knows if there is or not. So this should be interesting to come.
I guess so. Is there another track that I guess would be the next candidate, next man up to maybe let it go for a while and get a rough surface? And you're like off the top of your head, do you have one?
I'm trying
to think.
This is the only one. This and Auto Club are like the two I know, like with like the oldest surfaces. Auto Club's redoing their whole thing to make it a short track, and so that would leave Atlanta. And I can't think of another track that they talk
Homestead.
about.
Let Homestead go for a while, hopefully. I would add, we're talking about adjusting the schedule. I want a second Homestead race. I enjoy the racing there. I enjoy the Highline experience with Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson. Give me more Homestead Miami Speedway. But, we're talking Atlanta Motor Speedway here. They're going to get a repave. I'm not a fan. I don't think Zach's really a fan either, but, such is life. That's where we're headed, though, this weekend. The Quaker State 400 makes its triumphant return to the Peach State, Hampton, Georgia, home of Atlanta Motor Speedway. For the first time since 2010, Atlanta is hosting NASCAR for a second time. Remember, we were here in the spring for the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. Zach, what more can you tell us about the current version of Atlanta Motor Speedway with that tire-eating surface?
Well, like we said back in March, this is the oldest surface in the NASCAR series that right now, and it's going to be the last time we say that, so swan song for this surface.
Boo.
Yeah, it's been fun watching the tires get absolutely eaten up and seeing Larry McCrells actually take a cheese grater and try to grate the side of the tire. Yeah,
I could watch that over and over. It's so good.
This is the first, like you said, it's the first time since 2010 that Atlanta gets a second race date. They took the Quaker State 400 away from Kentucky, and let's see where else.
Well, here's a fun fact for you. Were you aware that the Quaker State 400 originally belonged to Atlanta?
No.
It did, but it was never the Quaker State 400. So up through 2010, which was the last year this race was run in Atlanta, it was founded. First running was in 1960. The entire time it was at Atlanta, it was 500 miles.
Yeah,
I think it was the Cobalt Tools 500. They had two 500-mile races per year. I think it was the Cobalt Tools 500, 2007 to 2010. Then it went to Kentucky and was shortened to 400 miles, became the Quaker State 400. This race is also presented by Walmart, for those of you who cared. Run there for a decade. Now it's coming back home to Atlanta, but staying the Kentucky distance. So, and of course, Kentucky Speedway is off the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Did you have any hurt feelings about losing Kentucky? I mean, we're getting Atlanta back, but would you rather see Kentucky over, I don't know, one of these road courses?
Yes, I would rather see Kentucky than Sonoma.
Me too.
I honestly was a fan of Kentucky, and like I remember one of the 2015. It was run on my birthday, and that was one of the races I missed. I went and had some birthday festivities, and I actually missed another Kentucky race for more birthday festivities in 2019. And I'd rather not talk about that night, but I just remember being happy Kurt Busch won that night. But I honestly like Kentucky. I don't know why everyone always tries to poo-poo on it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I would rather see it than Coda. But anyway, you mentioned Kurt Busch there winning in 2019 at Kentucky. The last two editions of this race at Atlanta, now, of course, those were 500-mile distance. Kurt Busch was your winner. Now, he was driving Dodge at that time for Penske. Now he's in Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi, but Kurt Busch has a solid history in the Quaker State 400, this race. Also a solid history at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which we'll get to in a second. In terms of the last 10 years, Toyota has won the race 5 times, 3 belonging to Joe Gibbs, and then Martin Truex Jr. went back-to-back in 2017 and 18 for Furniture Road Racing. And Zach, who can forget the lone Stewart-Haas Racing win last year by NASCAR Cup Series rookie, buoying him to Rookie of the Year honors, Cole Custer, coming from out of nowhere into the playoffs, and he was so deserving of Rookie of the Year with that Kentucky win, right?
No comment. No comment. This is more of the fact that you can't our debate that we're having, more argument for me because that just proved my point more. But back to Atlanta Kentucky and Atlanta, it was a great move by Cole Custer. It was going on the outside of 4 wide, seeing how Truex screwed Harvick out of that race because he doesn't know how to drive, and then you have Ryan Blaney hitting. I don't know what he hit. He had something that just freaking flew up the track. But, it was a good race. A good ending, I should say. But I'd rather see Atlanta than Kentucky. I think we're both Atlanta fans more than we are Kentucky fans. And this Sunday should be something.
Yeah, I think Cole Custer would rather see Kentucky over Atlanta. Hasn't finished better than 18th at Atlanta. And it's another Stewart-Haas driver, and one that Zach knows very well, who has the top average finish among all Cup Series drivers over the last 10 races at the rough and rugged Atlanta Motor Speedway. He was top 10 here in the spring. He won here last year and in 2018. Kevin Harvick, average finish of 6.6. He's followed by Kyle Busch, not far behind, average finish of 6.9. He's been top 10 in each of the last 4. Martin Truex Jr., mentioned a couple of Kentucky wins there for him in the Quaker State 400. Average finish of 7.0. Matt Kenseth is no longer with us in NASCAR, but he was also averaging a top 10 finish. Then you got Kurt Busch, mentioned him, 10.8. Rough showing in the spring this year. He'll be looking to bounce back. Ganassi obviously running well, like we mentioned earlier in the Road America recap. And Joey Logano, 11.0. Then you got Kyle Larson, of course, sitting there at 12.1. The guy who should have won the spring race here. Among those names, anyone stand out to you in particular? Anyone else further down that you're curious as to where they stand because they have shown you one thing, either good or bad, at Atlanta?
No, I think all we need to hear is that number 4 car, and that's.
Well, he also leads an average driver rating. This is over the last 4 races, 122.7. Kevin Harvick's average driver rating over the last 4 races. And when you do just the last 4 races, that average finish ticks up to 4th even. Truex, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson in 3 races round out your top 5 in average driver rating. So Ryan Blaney won the spring race, caught Larson after Larson lapped like 3/4 of the field, it felt like. In that Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500, and he only had a second-place run to show for it. So as we turn to NASCAR DFS here, interesting to see that Kyle Larson is $1,000 more than any other driver in FanDuel's pricings this week. I'm just going to give you the floor, and the spring race winner, Ryan Blaney, $4,000 less than Larson. But yeah, the floor is yours. Kick us off here with our handicap and DFS. What do you got?
I mean, after leading 328 laps of it wasn't 328. It was like 317 of 325. That would make sense that he would not be. He would be $1,000 more in there. And you got to think with it only being 400 miles instead of 5, he's got to have an advantage, right? So
yeah, I mean, he wouldn't have been caught if this was a 400-mile race. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I got to put him back in there. I got to go Harvick again. He did not have a good race back in this bracket. Atlanta won. He still managed to get a top 10. He was a lap down for most of the days. Got it back from cautions, I believe, and still managed to get top 10. That's something you don't. I'm sure you see a lot more now than you did back in before the Lucky Dog, but
is
still
it just me, or is 11,700 a bargain on Harvick at Atlanta? Because it sure feels that way. It's only like the 7th highest priced driver.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got to remember what SHR has been this year.
Sure.
So it's not he's not been as good as what he should be, but you still got to drop him down a little bit. I'm looking here at the prices. I'm trying to look for a value here, and it might be Chris Buescher. We've talked a lot
Buescher. Wow.
We talked about a lot. I mean, 7,300. It seems like a value play here because RFR is good. We've talked about this. They were good at Miami. They were good at Atlanta. So fade them now because I'm talking good about them, and they're probably going to go to trash now. So clip this, and this will age poorly, I'm sure. But
yeah, that's an interesting value play. I would wonder more. I don't know if Kurt Busch you'd call him value at 9,000 flat, but a Ross Chastain at 7,500. Busch's teammate with Chip Ganassi, Eric Almirola, has decent driver stats, average finish at Atlanta. Daniel Suarez, I think, starting toward the back after last week, 6,500. He should be able to pick off some spots. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I know you're Mr. Ryan Preece over here when we're talking about our JTG drivers, but Ricky Stenhouse is quietly averages 17.1. Finished 12th here at Atlanta in the spring. It's only 6,000. And then you said RFR is good here. Was that – I don't want to misquote you, but Ryan Newman is the guy who stands out in terms of average finish. Now, he's run more races than Buescher, but 5,800. His average finish in the last 10 races, 17.8. So not far behind Ricky Stenhouse. He was 13th in the spring. I would almost want to look at Newman, and I cringe to say that, given the way that team's going, over Buescher. I don't know. Am I crazy? Any of those names you would maybe fire up?
I got to go Buescher over Newman, and that might be biased. Me be biased because I don't like Newman that much.
No, the 6 has been terrible, so I'm not going to
at all. But if you look at Buescher's last couple here, 18th, 19th, so he's actually not doing great either. He's not doing good. So either way, RFR is probably falling apart, it seems. So maybe don't play Chris Buescher. Probably look cheaper options. Like you said, Ricky Stenhouse, who finished 12th here earlier, he's had some good runs here lately, and he's definitely going to be probably a better play than RFR because RFR doesn't have the consistency right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways I think you could go here. Almirola too, I'd wonder. And then there's Cody Ware for you at $3,000. So
always take Cody Ware. Always take Cody Ware.
All right.
How is Cody Ware not the cheapest guy here? How?
Because there's someone named Bailey Curry running in the race. Anyone you are avoiding specifically this week in Atlanta, a driver or two to stay away from that you have for us?
How is Justin Haley cheaper than Cody Ware? That if I'm Justin Haley, I take that as.
I take that person.
Yeah, avoid Anthony Alfredo for one. Let's start there, even though that really shouldn't matter. Avoid RFR, like I just said, because their consistency isn't there. I want to fade Truex. I really want to fade Truex because I don't understand how he's 12,500 and he hasn't had a top 10 on an oval since the Goodyear 400 almost 2 months ago.
Is that serious? You're right.
Yeah.
No, you are right. Because Sonoma and this past week, you're exactly right.
Are his only top 10? Are his only top 10s in the past 2 months, and they're road courses. So again,
speeding penalties. I feel like he has a pit road speeding penalty every week. So until they get that corrected, I mean, even their Road America finish probably wasn't as good as it should have been. So avoiding Truex, avoiding Anthony Alfredo. I guess we're avoiding RFR. You went back and forth. You said Buescher.
You gotta avoid. I think you gotta avoid him. Okay. So I have both JTD Doherty cards in here. Screw it. We're gonna run with it. So I have Larson, Harvick, Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch.
So That's Zach's off the fly on the podcast air lineup. So, but
it could change before then, yeah.
Yeah, be sure to check out his NASCAR DFS column on FlurrySports.org for his final advice and picks when he has a little more time to dig into stats and such as he writes. Let's jump to some betting odds here for the Quaker State 400. Kyle Larson is the most expensive driver in DFS, and he is a massive betting favorite over on DraftKings to win this race, plus 225. The next driver is Kyle Busch, who has been red hot. He has 3 straight top 3 finishes and a win in there to boot, but he's plus 750, well behind Larson, who dominated in that spring race here at Atlanta. Chase Elliott is 9-1. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. are 10-1. Everyone else is 12-1 or longer here, so those would say are your top tier. I'm assuming your pick is going to be coming out of that tier because there are some stud names in there. But is it Kyle Larson, the massive betting favorite? Is plus 225 enough of a return for you to invest?
Yes. He dominated the race here. If it was 400 miles, he would have won. I don't. Of course, the stages are going to be shorter. Everything's going to be probably not as. It's going to be not the same. It's not going to matter. I still feel like Kyle Larson's going to win, and it's all going to be about who comes in second. Knock on wood. Hopefully, I don't jinx it because we have a curse.
All right. So you're going chalk again for the second straight week.
It worked last week.
McAdoo with the favorite. Yeah, it worked last week for you. Congrats. You picked the favorite to win anyone. Ryan Blaney, William Byron are 12-1. Brad Keselowski 14-1. Alex Bowman and Joey Logano 16-1. That is your second tier here. Everyone else is 30-1 or longer. And man, that guy's sitting at 30-1. I'm going to have a play on him. I'm going to be dabbling. I don't know if it's a dollar and a dream at 30-1, but we'll get to him in a second. Any of those names in that kind of second tier there, double-digit guys. I mean, you got the spring race champion Ryan Blaney in there. I don't know if you would.
Yeah, maybe take a. It wouldn't be a flyer at this point, but maybe take look at him because he's at 12-1 odds, so it's not bad. Maybe Alex Bowman too, because he gets 1 win a month.
We're in a month now.
April he had a win. May he had a win. He got his June win in the final weekend.
June in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks to Kyle Larson. But
we'll get it done a little sooner in July. That's good. So 16-1. Joey Logano, I mentioned those average finish stats. Not terrible at Atlanta. It's just going to be interesting for me to see if Hendrick is clearly the top team here again. Kyle Larson is in a league of his own, or what the manufacturer team difference is this week too. All right, 30-1, Kurt Busch. I'm going to have something on that. He's too good at Atlanta. He's won this specific race 3 times. The last 2 times it was at Atlanta, yes, it was 500 miles, but he won it. And he's red hot right now. 30-1. I love Kurt Busch. Joining him here in this tier as we get into dollar and a dream territory. Christopher Bell, 35-1. Austin Dillon, 50-1. Tyler Reddick, 66-1. Ross Chastain, 80-1. At 100-1 odds to win the Quaker State 400, we have Eric Almirola, Chris Buescher, Matt DiBenedetto, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Daniel Suarez, 125-1. Bubba Wallace, 150-1. Everyone else, 201 or longer. Do I need to mention anyone else, or do you have your pick, your long shot?
Yeah, Cody Ware. Come on, we are on this.
Sorry, Cody Ware. Cody Ware joins Anthony Alfredo and Justin Haley at 1,000-1 odds to win the Quaker State 400. They are not the longest odds on the board. Josh Balicki, Quinn Houff, BJ McLeod, Garrett Smithley, and Bailey Curry are all 1,500-1. Cody Ware is moving up in the world.
Surprisingly.
Who you got? Long shot.
Oh my God!
He's still stunned that Cody Ware is not the longest odds on the board.
Yeah, I honestly he needs to have odds if he's going to bring it out of caution or not every week, not if he's going to win the race. Maybe
Cody Ware's been running a little better, a little bit lately.
Yeah, he's not close to caution every week. That's Anthony Alfredo's job now. But maybe you got to look at Cole Custer. This is the race he won last year. Granted, a different track. He's not that great at this track to begin with, but so maybe a little surprise out of Cole Custer.
200 to 1?
Dollar in a dream, baby. Dollar in a dream. That's the motto here.
Yep.
But no, maybe if realistically look at Tyler Reddick, look at Ross Chastain. Those are the two guys who are getting better and better every week. We've seen Reddick go out and have runs that we think that he proves us wrong every week. Oh, shouldn't say proves us wrong, but does better than what we think he's going to do. And then Ross Chastain, like if he doesn't wreck or have a problem, he's usually up there.
A couple of other odds that just jump out to me in terms of other finishing spots. Kevin Harvick plus 250 for a top 3 might be worth a look if we think Stewart-Haas can rebound and Harvick can be his usual self. At Atlanta, Kurt Busch plus 105 for a top 10. Tyler Reddick plus 190 for a top 10. And Ross Chastain plus 235 for a top 10. Sure to check out my betting article for more of those because I'm not gonna bore Zach. He only bets winners around here.
Yeah.
Speaking of winners, team of the race winner, we're going to jump out of order a little bit this week. You got Hendrick Motorsports, nearly even money. They're plus 105. Joe Gibbs plus 255. Team Penske plus 450. Stewart-Haas is basically Kevin Harvick and maybe Cole Custer. I don't know where that came from in the Dollar in the Dream segment. They're plus 850. Chip Ganassi's 20 to 1. I don't know. Do I need to read any others, or would you be just staying away from this because you think it's really going to be Hendrick or bust here?
I think it's really just going to be Hendrick. I feel like Larson's going to be the guy, and I don't know if maybe take a flyer. Okay, because Chip Ganassi does have Kurt Busch and Chastain. Maybe take a flyer on that one because hedge your bet a little bit, maybe because it's was it 200 to 1, 21 odds. I can't read apparently.
20 to 1 for Chip Ganassi. So
yeah, I hate when they do the plus 2,000 on there instead of 20 to slash. I'd rather do that.
Yeah, different odds. These are American odds. We're in America, Zach.
Yeah.
We just celebrated America's birthday. Get over it. What about manufacturer of the winning car? Because I'm not going to lie here. When you combine Hendrick Motorsports and Chip Ganassi, who we're talking about maybe as a sleeper or like an RCR, Tyler Reddick, if this is the week. But they're all Chevrolets. Chevy's minus 106, so that's almost an even money return. I kind of like that value. I'm not going to lie. And other than Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin, if maybe this is finally the 11 teams week, we talked about Truex being in a slump right now. I don't know who from Toyota is challenging them. And then Ford is down in the dumps this year here. Now I say that, and Ford won at Atlanta in the spring. I don't know, though. I kind of like Chevy at minus 106. Do you like that from a value standpoint?
I mean, we out of all the drivers that we've talked about, most of them have been Chevys.
Exactly.
I don't think I've brought up a Toyota driver. I don't think I brought up a Ford driver. So I think you got to lean Chevy here.
Yep, and Cody Ware's driving a Chevy this week, too, so you got that as well. Driver props. Let's look at some head-to-head matchups. I had two that I wanted to ask you about. Ryan Blaney, spring race winner, plus 100 odds against Chase Elliott is a minus 134 favorite. You taking the even money odds? Or is Elliott and Hendrick just too far ahead?
I have Blaney finishing second in this race, so I'm going to take Blaney over Elliott here.
All right, there it is.
I feel like Blaney's got the better chance to get up there and do almost what he did in the spring.
I love to hear it. Here's another one for you. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Chris Buescher are both minus 115 set up against each other. Now, you lean Buescher initially in DFS. I got you second guessing that. But Stenhouse is not your JTG driver. Are you going to come over to the bright side here this week?
Yeah, Ford's not, like we said, Ford has have a down year this year. I feel like it's got to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in this race. Yeah, the RFR consistency is not there. And as far as not as far as, but I think it's funny that they put put Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who was in 17, against Chris Buescher, who booted Stenhouse out of the 17 to be in that car. So maybe it's just me, but.
What about Cole Custer, Ryan Newman? They're both minus 115.
This is a tough one. Do you go with the guy who has SHR power or RFR power and blocks anything that moves?
Better finishes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to go with the equipment here. I think you got to. Custer, of course, doesn't have that finish of better than 18th at the track, but at the same time, Newman, like we said, RFR is not having a. We talked a lot great about them at the beginning. They're starting to fall off a little bit, and they need to fix something here quick.
Yeah, Custer, of course, is the defending race champion. Different track, but he did win the race last year. And then you mentioned props to bring out a caution each week. I think Ryan Neiman might be creeping into that status. I feel like he spins around every single week at this point. As we jump over to groups here, now I can ask you about Group A this week. And Kyle Larson's not in it. So you can't take the easy way out because your race-winning pick is not in there. The betting odds makers view Kyle Larson so highly. And we mentioned that gap between he and Kyle Busch, plus 225 down to plus 750 to win the race. He's not in a group. So Group A this week, Chase Elliott is plus 220. We've got Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick both plus 260. And then we've got William Byron, whose Atlanta stats are not exactly promising, but it's William Byron. He's been having one hell of a year. Plus 275 is the long shot in Group A. What are you doing with that quartet?
I want to lean Harvick because of my bias.
I know you do.
I really do. But the way that the Chevys have been rolling, you might have to take Elliott here.
All right.
I don't know, though. That's
Elliott
tough.
has been great at Atlanta, too, which is interesting. Neither he nor Byron really running as well as Larson here.
Actually, why would I take Harvick's in my DFS lineup? Why would I take Elliott? Of course, we want Harvick here.
Harvick, all right. Plus 260 Harvick in Group A.
All right, we just skipped down to Group F. We're running over here.
Group F. All right. Well, the head-to-head matchup, Cole Custer and Ryan Newman, they're both in this group, too. They're both plus 245, as is Eric Jones. And then we got Chase Briscoe plus 275 as the Group F long shot this week.
I got to go Eric Jones. I thought he did very well earlier in the season at this track, if I remember correctly. And he absolutely should do that again here. Same equipment, probably going to have the same setup that he had in the spring, and probably maybe bring home another top 10.
Jones was 24th in the spring. Newman 13th, Custer 18th, and Briscoe was 23rd. Are you changing your bet?
No, we're gonna roll with it. Forget it. We're gonna roll with the punch.
I think it was the week after that Eric Jones finally got that top 10, so you were close. But he among average finish in this group, though. Of course, he did have Joe Gibbs Racing Power. Eric Jones easily stands out. Has shown an ability to get around Atlanta in the past. Once again, check out Zach's DFS article. Check out my betting article, flurrysports.org. The little NASCAR section, as Zach likes to call it, is there. It's loaded. We got the power rankings out. I did stats and standings updates this week, too, through 20 races. We got 6 to go in the regular season. So you can check those out. We got Atlanta Motor Speedway overview is coming. You can go read about Road America again if you want to, or if you're just listening to the segment portion on the Flurry Sports Pod Network and you want to get the Road America recap, that is up as well. There's more coming. What else do we have ahead of the Quaker State 400? Is there anything I am missing this weekend? It is, let's see. It is a 4-race weekend because the trucks are in Knoxville.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Friday night.
Yeah.
We didn't mention that. So the trucks are racing, just not in Atlanta. They're at Knoxville Speedway.
On the dirt.
Xfinity is Saturday.
They start 7 o'clock FS1.
Yep. And then SRX is Saturday night too. So 4 races again this weekend. Anything else as we wrap up?
Subscribe on Apple, follow on Google, Spotify, do whatever on Spreaker. and iHeartRadio because I screwed that up. Follow Burt Rub Racing. Follow me. He's currently not on there. And then come watch me, twitch.tv/McAdoo316. This Sunday we are at 8 o'clock. It's the second Trainwreck Sports Home Run Derby. I will be a part of it. I am hosting hosting. We're trying to figure everything out right now, but come watch me hit some dingers.
There you go. Go watch McAdoo hit some dingers. All right. I think we covered everything. We got the Quaker State 400 all previewed and sliced. Hopefully our DFS will go a little better than it did for both of us last week at Road America. Excited to watch what I guess is looking like the final race on the old surface at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm still sad. We'll find out who wins the Best Driver Award at the ESPYs, and we will be back next week. We got one race left, right, before the Olympic break. That's it, Atlanta, and then next week at New Hampshire. And then we got 2 weeks off, so we'll be – I guess we got one show planned now. We're going to debate the playoffs, but we'll be thinking up some other content to throw at you as well. Got anything else for the people?
Sit tight. Keep it tight. That's how it goes. Now it's
well, on that note, this has been episode 20 of the Burnt Rubber Racing podcast. We're done. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.